Welcome back, it's Smashboss here, and before I really start with this video, I just wanted to say thank you for more than 200 subscribers. My channel was really growing fast in the last few weeks, and I came to the conclusion that basically the main or the only reason for this was my level or my video on a level that I made in the past, where I showcased the setup that should make a theoretically impossible level that you still can upload, but once it's uploaded no one will be able to beat it. And this video got the most views on my channel, and it has really a lot of views compared to any of my other videos, most likely because it's a really interesting and also not really clear topic, because many people said that it's not actually impossible, and I also thought that on my old setup for this trick there must have been some kind of cheese, because even though it should have been impossible, it got beaten many times. So that's also the reason why I didn't keep this level uploaded, so I deleted it, because I don't know where exactly the cheese was. I guess it was something in my setup with the helmet. But now, for this video, I've recreated this setup. In this case, the impossible level setup is just there to build a death exit that really only the maker of the level can take. And since I'm not really sure about how good my old setup was, I took a look back at the puzzle level by John, where this trick originally was used the first time. At least I saw it in this level for the first time, and he had a little bit of a different setup. I don't know if this works better, but at least in this episode I'm using a setup that's basically more like John's setup for this whole trick, with a fire flower instead of a helmet. And it works very similar. You want to enter this door as Big Mario, normal Big Mario, not Weird Mario. Because if you're Big Mario, then you can grab the fire flower and activate the P-switch in order to win. But if you would be Weird Mario or Lanky Mario, then if you go through this door and you jump normally, you just get stuck up here. And if you duck jump, you cannot reach the fire flower. And I know a lot of the comments on my last impossible level video were like, well, you can just unduck in midair, and just to make it clear, that's not possible. Once you duck jump, you stay ducked until you land again. In other game styles there are some ways to stand up in midair, but for Super Mario Bros. 1 there's no way at all to unduck in midair. So that was definitely not the problem of my last level, and I still don't know exactly what it was. But another theory is that the level is not actually impossible. It's just very unlikely that somebody is able to beat it. And in order to explain what this means, I'll just go over the mechanic again quickly. So what the actual idea behind this whole contraption is that there are Monty moles that will activate these note blocks. Each one of the note blocks contains a mushroom, and when I upload a level, all of these mushrooms will spawn as normal mushrooms, because if you know it, maybe you don't know it, but there is, for each mushroom that spawns out of a normal block, or so a question block, a normal block, or of a node block, there's a small chance that it's not a normal mushroom, but instead it's a weird mushroom. And the problem is, if I would just normally upload a level, I could basically make a level that is only possible with the weird mushroom, and I could just try to upload it until I finally get the weird mushroom. And to prevent creators from making these kind of levels, Nintendo implemented a mechanic that when you upload a level, there is no chance at all that any of these mushrooms will be a weird mushroom. But at the same time, this means that there is a difference when you upload a level and when you actually play a level. And what John found out for his puzzle level was that if you spawn basically the maximum amount of mushrooms, which would be around 100 mushrooms, then each of these mushrooms has a pretty small chance of being a weird mushroom, but altogether there's basically no chance that no one of all of these mushrooms will spawn as weird mushrooms. That means that just if there are 100 mushrooms spawned, each one of them on its own has a small chance of being a weird mushroom, but there's basically no chance at all that none of all the mushrooms is a weird mushroom. And that means when you actually play the level, there will always be at least one weird mushroom, and then you're trapped in this little area together with all the mushrooms. And since the weird mushroom is considered to be a better item than the normal mushroom, you will always get the weird mushroom, because you have to collect all the mushrooms when you want to go in this door in order to proceed. And the weird mushroom will always stay, because it's the seemingly best power-up that the game can give you. And when you actually play the level, then you will always end up as Lanky Mario in this room. And that means you're unable to progress from here. And at the same time, when you upload the level, you will always be normal Big Mario when you enter this room, and you can always beat the level without any problem. And that's basically the setup for all this. And now many people said that, well, it's not completely impossible, it's just a very, very small chance, but it should still be possible to get super lucky and let all of the mushrooms be normal mushrooms. And that's what I first thought too. But the only problem was, I just couldn't believe that in such a short time this must have happened to so many players, since my old level got beaten so often for it being an impossible level. So I just couldn't imagine that all of these players just got super lucky. And then there was one comment by EHX, and he said it is impossible because of the way how RNG works in video games. And that comment actually is pretty interesting because he could be right. So for as far as I know, at least in some games, RNG is not really random. It's just a huge table of numbers, and any one of these numbers can occur when something uses RNG. It just uses one of any of these numbers in the, well, not exactly a table, it's most likely a function, but this function can only have a fixed amount of results. So let's say, to make it simple, from 0 to 1000, any number can be used when something wants to use RNG, and depending on this number, the object decides what it does. And if this is the case in Mario Maker 2, then it could really be an impossible level. The only thing that we would have to know is the amount of numbers that the RNG can have, because there are around 100 mushrooms that are spawned at the same time, and that means if there are less than 100 numbers in this function that are continuously repeating, then no matter what, one of the mushrooms must be a weird mushroom, and that means that it would actually be impossible. But if there are more numbers, or if RNG works a little bit different in this game, then there would still be a super small chance that somebody can actually beat this level using this death exit. But for the rest of this level, so for the actual level that I wanted to show, let's just pretend that this setup would be an impossible death exit, so I can use it while uploading, but no one can use it when the level is uploaded. And before I want to explain what this level is actually all about, I will just upload it so you can see the impossible setup and also a little bit of the rest of the level. So for starting from the beginning and from the second checkpoint, I just have to use the death exit. And as you can see, all the mushrooms are normal mushrooms now. And then I can grab the fire flower, shoot the bomb, and go through the pipe. That was just a clear from the beginning and from the first checkpoint. I can do what basically you have to do when you want to beat the level when it's uploaded, but I can do it in a much easier way. I just go in here with one red coin, and that's the same pipe, so I'll end up at the end of the level. But in fact, once I uploaded this level, in theory it should have a really complicated and also pretty luck-based way of beating it. And I don't mean the death exit, I mean the setup that I'll explain once I've uploaded it. this bomb just makes sure that you have to wait long enough and cannot simply go through the door before all the mushrooms are there. And well, uploading this level looks pretty simple, and it actually is. There's no real problem while uploading it. However, when it's finished, I'll check out the uploaded version and show what the problem is. So let's check out the uploaded version. This is now in the course world, and when I try to attempt the dev exit, you can already see there's one weird mushroom, and I will always end up with the weird mushroom. So I could maybe, as I said before, try to get super lucky, but for now let's just pretend that it's really impossible, and when I normally jump then I'll end up here. So that's the dev exit, and I will not use it for the rest of this video. But let's explain what the problem is now. If I go in here, I get one red coin. Then I can go down this pipe. I get another checkpoint, and I get the second red coin, which means I automatically have a key, and if I jump there's an invisible block. So now I died with the key. That means that both coins will reset. The problem is I cannot get back up here from the second checkpoint. I have to go through the pipe. Then I get one coin, one checkpoint. And if I would die now with only one coin, I would respawn at the other checkpoint with one coin, which would be basically the same situation every time I get to this point. And once I get the second checkpoint, only after I got this checkpoint I can obtain the second coin. That means whenever I grab the second coin, I will be at this checkpoint, which means that if I die with the key, I will just start like from the beginning, and that means that I will automatically collect the first coin again, because I have to. So in the end, the problem with this level is that I'll always end up with the key here. I want to climb up the vine, but since I have a key, when I try to climb, I enter the door, and this door also leads to death. And that means I have to go back to the beginning, and well, there is just nothing that I can do. Here's the strange thing. So some of you might already have noticed the door, most likely all of you. But it seems like this does absolutely nothing, because you just fall in a random pit and you die. And so now here comes the real setup that I came up with. As you can see, the level is called Another Way to Die. And now you might ask yourself, how many ways are there to die in Mario Maker? You just die, always the same. But there's one case where a death, especially a falling to a pit death, is not the same as in all the other cases, and it is pretty random. You cannot influence when this happens, but sometimes when you fall down a pit you do not instantly die, but instead you hear a sound that Mario falls into a huge pit, and all kinds of other stuff happening to Mario off screen, and only after a long time with sound effects, then Mario finally dies. It's most likely just an Easter egg, but in this level I found a way to actually make it so that you have to get this death animation in order to beat the level, because what I noticed recently is that objects on screen, like for example if I go through this door, I send off a shell, and objects on screen or off screen like these shells will just move around like normal, and they won't stop as soon as you're off screen. They will only stop once the complete death animation is over, and the shell that I send off here will collect the red coin in the case that the death animation is long enough, because as you can see there's a second path to the red coin, and that's the path that a shell takes after you kick it. The only problem is a normal death animation is way too short in order for the shell to reach the red coin. But if you get the long and deep pit death animation, then the shell will after some time collect the second red coin, and this is the only way to collect both red coins without using this checkpoint, because once you get the second red coin, even if you are basically already dead, it will still count as you have collected the key, and then you have a key death, and that means you can restart at the first checkpoint while both coins are respawned, so then you don't have to get the first coin again and you can just get the second coin. And that means that you don't have a key. So by using this trick you're able to beat the level. And as I said before, all of that just works if we pretend that the death exit is really impossible. But I would say that even if this special animation is rarely there, in most cases it's just a normal short death. But even though this animation doesn't happen really often, it's way more likely to beat the level like this than to wait for 100 times luck in once. And if I don't get it in the next few deaths, then I will just stop recording commentary, or basically that's what I will do, and I'll show what happens when I finally get the long death animation. So that's it for today, and I hope you enjoyed the video.